Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for giving me your valuable feedback for the first episode. It was very inspiring for me to see that it resonated with so many of you and you want to know more. So, here goes. Um, Today, I want to talk to you about specific examples in my life, which at the time I didn't know I was manifesting in an unconscious way, but now, when I have looked back at my life through my spiritual work, I realized that these were incidents that I manifested from an unconscious state of mind, and that gave me more evidence that every single moment of my life, of our lives, all of us are manifesting and creating it from our from within ourselves. The first example is an example when I was a very small, not a very small, but I was a child. I was in the fourth grade, so maybe about 9, 10 years old. And there are certain points in your life which are core memories that you never forget. And this is one of those memories that, for some reason, has stayed with me even till today, and I still feel the emotions of what happened. So, I was in fourth grade. I was in India, and I was as part of my homework, there was a project that I was supposed to deliver. It was a project, it was an arts and crafts project where I was supposed to knit a shawl. So they were teaching us students, and this used to be a specific program called SUPW, Socially Useful Productive Work, where all of us were supposed to learn some extracurricular things like knitting or wood carving or painting, and I was very bad at that. That was not my interest area at all. But it was a project. The teacher was very strict and scary for me at the time, and I remember that I had somehow managed to do some bit of knitting, but the shawl was not even near complete, and the deadline was looming, and I was somehow not able to do it. And I don't remember if I asked my parents for help or not, but somehow maybe I didn't, because I was scared that they would scold me as to why I was asking them at the last minute. But at the end of the day, what happened was, I remember the submission date was tomorrow, and today my shawl is not even 10%, 20% done. And I knew the teacher was very strict, and I was really scared of her. And I remember crying, and my parents asked me what happened, and I'm telling them, and I'm really crying, and I'm really wishing and hoping, and then I'm telling them that my shawl is not complete. I'm going to be very scared, and she's going to scold me, and everybody's going to I'm going to be humiliated in class. And I remember praying to God. I'm not I've never been a religious person. My family is not very religious, so I believe in God, but my family is not super religious. But I remember praying to God, very, very sincerely that night, that please, God, please help me, please help me. And I went to sleep crying. I remember I went to sleep crying. I don't know when I fell asleep. So I wake up in the morning, and when you wake up and you have that feeling of dread, and I had that feeling of dread that, oh no, today is the day, and I don't know how it's going to be. I don't want to go to school. I go out, and the shawl is there, completed, on the dining table. And I'm like, what? How did this happen? And I don't know. I asked my mom, and she said, well, I don't remember what she said. I don't even remember if she told me, or if she even was aware of it. I don't remember that part. But the interesting thing I remember is the shawl was complete. It was it was like a woolen shawl. And I took it to school. The teacher loved it, and I got pretty good grades. And I, for the longest time, thought that maybe my mom knitted it or my dad did something. But later on in life, I actually asked them this question, and they didn't even remember the incident. They're like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about." And I'm like, "No, don't you remember? I think you or dad, sat up all night and knitted that for me so that I wouldn't get scolded in class." But they didn't have any memory of that at all. So now that I think about it, I think it was me. Because think about it, an innocent child. The prayer of an innocent child is one of the most powerful energies because it comes straight from the heart. There is no ulterior motive. There is no negative energy. There is nothing. It's just so pure, right? And if a child prays from the heart for something to happen, it happens. The universe listens. And I think that's what happened to me. And that's why it's such a core memory. Like, I still remember it after almost 40 years. So yeah, I think that was one positive example of unconscious manifestation, I think, that I experienced in my life. Because obviously I didn't know anything about manifestation. I was a small child. But I really imagined from my heart, from my innocent, pure heart, that this is what I want. I want that shawl to be complete, and I want my teacher not to be angry, and I want her to be happy, and I don't want to get scolded, and I want to have that. And I cried and I went to sleep, and in the morning, voila, it was there. So that's one example of a positive manifestation. I have a lot of examples of negative manifestations. I don't think we have time for that, and I don't want to bore you with that. But I think in terms of negative manifestations, the biggest challenge that all of us face is as we grow older, we begin to form an idea about ourselves, who we are, from outside sources. What our parents tell us, what our teachers tell us, what our friends tell us when we are younger, then what our significant other, our partner tells us, what our boss tells us, what society tells us. So our whole self-image is built from the eyes of somebody else outside. But we never, and because of that, most of the time we don't even look inside to figure out who we really are. We are literally walking around seeing ourselves from from other people's eyes, because of which we limit ourselves so much. I remember, and I'll give you one example. I was always told that once your role as a man is to work really hard. For a man, men don't need to search for happiness. Happiness is not the men have to perform their duties. A good man does his duties as a son, as a husband, as a father, but a man doesn't think about himself. He has to think about everybody else. And I'm sure this is the same for women too, but as a man, I can tell you from my personal experience. So I always thought that was true. So I never considered my happiness to be important. Never. My parents were very particular, especially my mom, that she wanted to find my wife for me. I went into something called an arranged marriage. So if you're not aware of what that is, an arranged marriage is where parents, right, arrange your partner for you. So my mom literally wanted to put my profile on a matrimonial website and get matches. It's almost like Hinge for marriage, and it's legit in India. It's still there. It's a big thing. Many of you, if you're Indian, and you know what I'm talking about. And I had girlfriends in college. I had girlfriends in school, but mom especially was very much against it. Nobody was good enough for me until she found the right one for me. So I kind of felt that energy was so strong, I jeopardized every single relationship of mine. I don't realize that now, because I always felt that she is never going to be good enough for my mother. And then I did go into an arranged marriage eventually, kicking and screaming, by the way. I was not really interested in doing that, but I went into it kicking and screaming. And then I convinced myself that, well, this is it. Well, my mom thinks she is perfect, so she must be good. And I was in that marriage for more than 10 years. I have 2 beautiful children out of that marriage. But I was not happy, because at the core, again, I was seeing myself from the eyes of my mother, but I was not seeing myself from my own eyes. And as I grew older, I could not deny who I really was. So that was another manifestation. The whole marriage, the whole arranged marriage thing, as a big, and there are very small, more specific parts to it which I'm not going into, but as a whole, the arranged marriage was a unconscious manifestation, because my mom believed very strongly that that was the right path for me. So I manifested that for myself, and I jeopardized all my other relationships because I just felt that my mom wouldn't be happy with it. And then the marriage didn't last. After 10 years, I decided finally that this is not how I want to live the rest of my life. And it was a very difficult phase of my life, because to separate after 10 years with 2 children is not easy. But I knew that if I didn't do it then, I wouldn't be able to do it when my kids, I didn't want to do it, and I wouldn't be able to do it when my kids were older, because my daughter was 6, 7-ish. My son was just 2, 1 actually. When I started the process, I realized that at that age, they can adjust, and they've done beautifully. That was way back in 2018. So my beautiful children, I'm very close to them. They are growing up to be very balanced, healthy children, and my daughter is almost 16 now. So she has an idea of a healthy relationship. So I'm very happy and proud of that. But I realized that if I stayed on in that marriage, I would be doing a disservice to my kids as well, because they would think that that is a normal relationship, that it's okay to be unhappy in a marriage. That was the other manifestation that I did, because I knew nobody's happy in a marriage all the time. So I thought, well, a happy marriage is an oxymoron. So it's okay to be unhappy. That's just how life is. But I realized that's not true. This was another example of a broad unconscious manifestation that I did, and there were lots of incidents, specific incidents, that gradually took me to the threshold where I was like, you know what, this is not working out for me anymore. So yeah, that's my examples of unconscious manifestations. And now I am on the path where I realize that I can consciously manifest the reality that I crave and want to create, and that's what I'm doing. And I'll talk a lot more about that in detail in the next episodes. But I wanted to let you know that it's possible. If you're watching this and if you resonate with anything that I've said, feel free to reach out to me, and or comment, or whatever, however you want to respond. But know that you can get out of any situation in your life. If I could get out of what I've gotten out of, and I'm still in the process of change, I'm not done yet, and I'm never going to be done. That's the whole purpose of this life. If I can do it, so can you. That's all I wanted to share for this episode. One more thing, I changed my mic system. As you can see, I'm wearing headphones for the second episode. If this voice is clearer, if the sound the audio is better, please let me know, so that I can continue with this setup, or I can always revert back to the one that I had in the first episode. All right, take care, much love, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Bye.